We are back on the third segment of the weekly chat with Jason Mackey, our Post-Gazette sports columnist. I'm Adam Bittner, assistant sports editor for Multimedia. We are talking Pirates, specifically remaining free agent options at first base. There's been some questions about, is Anthony Rizzo a fit here? A couple other guys out on the free agent wire that might be able to help at first base. We're going to get Jason's thoughts on that. We're going to get Jason's thoughts on the Andrew Heaney signing earlier. I guess it was last Thursday after we recorded this podcast. And then maybe a couple more spring training bits and pieces. Before we do, just want to thank our sponsor for the Pirates channel here. It's Greenewalt Roofing. Hey, Pittsburgh, when you think of great roofs, think of the Greenewalt Roofing Company. With over 20 years of experience, Greenewalt knows that your roof is your home's first line of defense from rain, wind, snow, and ice. That's why Greenewalt Roofing's standard for perfection is so important. You can trust their team of experienced installers to treat your property right and like it's their own. When it comes to roof replacements, Greenewalt Roofing is Pittsburgh's only choice. Visit greenewaltroofing.com today or call 412-314-8882 to schedule your free estimate. PA contractor number 36262. All right, Jason, when we were in our Pirates group chat on our Slack channel, our boss, Ryan Wynn himself, submitted the question, why don't the Pirates approach Anthony Rizzo given their need at first base? So I'm going to ask that question to you on camera. Why does it make sense? Why does it not? He'll turn 36 this season, 706 OPS in 2023, 637 OPS last season with the Yankees. His only OPS over 800 since he's only had one OPS over 800 since 2019. So I guess my answer would be that he's cooked. Am I wrong?
No, I was going to produce a smart aleck response where I ask you how to share my screen because I have his baseball reference page up and you asked me why. And I was just going to show you that. No. But here's a more realistic reason of what they're trying to do here, Adam. And I want to talk about Spencer Horwitz. I want to talk about how much the Pirates believe in him, what they gave up to get him, and his injury timeline. This isn't an endorsement of it. I understand why people dislike the move. I dislike the trade. I've said that. And I don't know, if I would have shot higher than Spencer Horwitz from the very beginning. But you know what? They traded for him. They gave up a lot to get him, and they're going to play him. I don't know where else he fits. So that's one reason why you're not going to sign Anthony Rizzo. You gave up Luis Ortiz and 2 top 20 pitchers to get the guy. He's a left-handed hitter. So is Anthony Rizzo. Horwitz needs to play. His injury, you can see video from Andrew Destin and Noah Hiles down there. He's done a fair amount. I don't think his projection is going to keep him out, probably not for all of April. I think this guy's going to be back fairly soon. It was 6 to 8 weeks to get back in games. I think they'll still be conservative on that. Bottom line, I don't think he's going to miss too much time. And so I don't think it's worth signing Anthony Rizzo. What do you do when he comes back? You could play Spencer Horwitz in the outfield, I guess, but then you're creating another logjam. I think guys need to play. You only have one available spot. You already have Sawinski and Tommy Pham. What are you going to do with that? Are you going to move Spencer Horwitz to another infield position? I don't know where. Then you're creating other problems. All for what? Because, so you can sign a guy who had a 637 OPS last season, 706 the year before. A lot of what you're saying. I mean, Anthony Rizzo was a very good player at one point. He is not that player anymore, and I don't see the fit.
Well, I think part of my response would be, this is a level of production you should be able to get organizationally. If he was an 800 plus OPS guy, okay, there's no one in that door. There's no one in that building that I think is capable of that right now. But you should be able to get a 630 OPS from somebody, and if you can't, then people are getting fired. And so I would not, I would not be hinging, my fortunes on what's left of Anthony Rizzo. For that reason, let me ask you this: Jose Abreu, Yuli Gurriel are still out there, but they're even older than Rizzo. Are they in the same bucket for you?
Yeah, I wouldn't add to the team, Adam. Right now, I mean, it is what it is. They've made the moves they've made. I'm not trying to sound like Mike Tomlin there, I swear. What I would do if I could get a young bat with years of club control, I would go after that. They have some young pitching. Maybe they can trade from a position of strength. I wouldn't force anything. I wouldn't trade Luis Ortiz and 2 pitching prospects for Spencer Horwitz. Please don't recreate that for me. But if you can, deal one of those pitching prospects with maybe some position players or something at the lower rungs of the minor leagues, I would do that. I think there's an opportunity to make your team better now and down the road with some of what you have. But no, I would not be signing any of the veteran retread guys. I mean, again, I wish they would have shot higher at first base earlier in the offseason. That's done. Spencer Horwitz is who they have, but they gave up, in their terms, a lot to get him, so I think they're going to play him.
We mentioned Andrew Heaney at the top of the show. I know you wrote a column about him, kind of liking the signing. So I just wanted to give you a chance to say on camera your feelings on that move to bring him in and add to this rotation.
Yeah, it's something they kind of don't have enough of. I like the idea when you have power right arms to be able to punctuate those with like soft tossing lefties. And soft tossing lefties a lot of times do very well in PNC Park. And I don't know if people know why, so I wanted to talk a little bit about why. But guys with changeups and you're manipulating timing, you're going to face a lot of right-handed hitters. If you can get a guy to roll over on a changeup, there's a lot of green space in left center field. And so that's kind of the strategy behind signing a Tyler Anderson, a Jose Quintana, even Bailey Falter. And that's exactly what Andrew Heaney has been. Andrew Heaney has been a strike thrower. He only walked, I think, 5.9% last season. That's something the Pirates' entire staff needs to emulate more. They need to bring in as many guys as possible who aren't afraid to throw strikes. He's a good quality dude. Like, it's not a personality issue. He's going to fit right in. It's a major league pitcher with experience of pitching in the postseason. And if you pay attention, this isn't explaining away everything the Pirates do. Certainly they have their faults and they should be criticized. But it is notable how many guys they've brought in with playoff experience. If you think about Tommy Pham's been in it recently, Adam Frazier's been in it recently, Tim Meza, Caleb Ferguson, they've been in it recently. And Andrew Heaney, of course, with the Texas Rangers. So I think that matters in a young clubhouse. You've got an idea of how this should be done. And I think Andrew Heaney very much knows how you should pitch. Not that Paul Skenes, Jared Jones, not that they need that instruction, but it's one more guy and you can never have too much pitching.
Jason, between Mike Burrows, Oviedo, Heaney, Falter, they're supposedly stretching out Carmen Bajinski. I think you can throw Bubba Chandler in that group. That's a bunch of guys for what looks like two spots in the rotation. And so I want to ask the question this way, less who's going to make it and more, do you think they've cultivated that depth with a possible eye toward managing innings with Paul Skenes still? I know Paul Skenes has said he wants to throw 240 innings this year. He wants to kind of be free and clear of this conversation we had through so much of last season. But they certainly look like they're in a position to go, maybe not to a six-man rotation, but to deploy a guy on a sixth day to include a little more rest, to maybe give, to skip a start and have someone be able to step in. What's your read on how that depth that they're cultivating, pairs with the top of the rotation with Mitch Keller, Jared Jones, and Paul Skenes? It's
the most I've seen since this group has taken over, and I'll give them credit for it, Adam. We rip Ben Cherington and his staff a lot for what they've done. They've got a lot of good young pitching depth. This is how it should work. I'll be curious to see how it pans out. Now, you mentioned at the beginning who wins those spots. You know what I think is funny? I don't think any of them are going to win spots, and that's okay. I think a lot of those guys are going to go to AAA. Burrows, Ashcraft. I'd be stunned if Bubba Chandler makes the team. I think they're going to give him the opportunity to do it. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think they have to force it. He's only made 7 or 9 starts in AAA. I just think it would take a really, really crazy performance. The difference between Bubba now and Jared Jones last year, the Pirates had a need in the rotation, and Jared Jones pitched so well, he pitched himself into an opportunity. There's not as much of a need right now, so you can stash them in AAA, and I think that's what you want. You want guys challenging for time at AAA. You want somebody a little hacked off down there feeling like they belong in the major leagues. Now, where I think this pitching depth comes into play and where I think people might see a little bit of a different usage of pitchers or something where the Pirates can get a little funky, what do you do with Johan Oviedo? That's a big question for me. This is a guy at the end of 23. He and Mitch Keller were only 2 traditional starting pitchers. He was excellent. I don't know if I want him in AAA. There's nothing else to gain there. I don't know if I want him in a bullpen role. He hasn't really liked the bullpen role in the past. He did a little bit of that with St. Louis, but I think you need to get him major league innings. What I'm looking at is him and Bailey Falter maybe meshing together. I think there's a fascinating thing the Pirates can do. If you work them together, almost like a piggyback situation, it's a breather for your bullpen. They like to be aggressive with their bullpen usage. Okay, so if you meld Oviedo and Falter together, almost like a 6th starter, but they go on the same day, and you don't have to use any relievers, that's a free reset in a week. It allows you to use your relievers differently. So anyway, that's just something. I don't know for sure that they're going to do it, but it would make a lot of sense.
Did you have any thoughts on managing Paul Skenes and what their strategy is there?
They're not. Did he say somewhere that he wanted to throw 240 innings? I've not.
Yeah, he told ESPN he wants to throw 240 innings this year.
Good luck with that. That's not happening.
But that's also not managing inning counts, in my opinion. Jason.
No.
I look at 200 innings a year is kind of that threshold for me of like you're pitching with no restrictions other than like they're going to be a little careful with you in 6th and 7th innings, but we're not going to be talking about an innings limit like we might otherwise. Jason, Andrew Destin did a nice profile on Konnor Griffin earlier this week. He's generating a little bit buzz down in Bradenton. How are you feeling about that first-round pick? Because I think some people were critical at the time of, listen, he's still only 18 years old. He was 17, I think, at the time. He's not a guy that's going to come up and help probably while Paul Skenes is still here, while you've got this rotation we're talking about in place. But it seems like there's some good emotion around him. So how are you feeling about that pick, 8-9 months later?
I like it a lot, Adam. I like his versatility. I'm going to sound like Derek Shelton for a minute. But the fact that he could be a center fielder or he could be a shortstop, we don't know. And we don't need to know right now. That's the reality of it. But he's a big kid, a strong kid. You were talking about this. He's athletic. He's got a really strong arm. There's some funky stuff in his swing that I think will get, manipulated over time, curtailed over time, whatever the word is. I like the person. He's the son of a coach. He is the most polite kid you could ever want to meet. Like he's perpetually happy, just fits in really well, wants nothing more than to just work and be humble and soak in this experience. Like everything you could want to check out with him checks out. And I don't care about the results. He's in Major League spring training. He's not making the team. I don't know where he goes in the minor leagues. Like we're talking about a couple-year path here. But what we are talking about is somebody who has size, arm strength, a bat, a good head on his shoulders, was raised the right way. Like all this stuff that you would want from the kid, knows how to play the game, is what you would really want. And just, being open to things. Like one of the things he was talking about in spring was, he feels a little bit more comfortable in center. So he's getting more of his reps at shortstop to try to refine. Like that's a little thing. But like, it's just being honest and it's realizing where you are. It's realizing what people are asking of you, where you can improve and being willing to do it. So I don't know. There's a lot going on with him that I really like. And Paul Skenes, by the way, he said he was going to be ready to throw 240 innings. He didn't think he was going to throw 240 innings, but I don't know. You can interpret that quote how you want, but he ain't throwing 240.
No.
I looked that up while you were talking. I was like, did I miss something there? But he said he's going to be ready to throw 240.
I don't think anyone's throwing 240 in this day and age, Jason. Anything standing out to you in Florida this week otherwise that is the first couple of exhibition games under our belt here?
Adam, I'm trying to not buy too much stock in the Ke'Bryan Hayes stuff. I realize it's February 27th. I realize he's been injury prone, but we're seeing what he can be like when healthy. Couple hits yesterday, smoked one, stole a bag. And reading comments that he said to Andrew and Noah, it's encouraging. It really is. I know what he went through last year, how bad that back was. Just seeing something as simple, honestly, as like his walk-off interview in spring. They do interviews out in the outfield after they leave the game. He's talking to Hannah Mears. And like I've talked to Key a bunch over the years. You can tell when he's kind of down and his body language is bad and he's, things aren't good. This was the opposite of that. I see a guy that is very happy to be there. I'm guessing he's pain-free based on how he's moving around. And I just think that's such a big thing for the Pirates to have him healthy, productive, lengthens their lineup. Obviously, we know about the glove. I caught a lot of stuff from people talking about the contract and how bad this contract is and whatever. You know what? If Ke'Bryan Hayes can flirt with an 800 OPS or even a 760, 770 OPS, something like that, that contract doesn't stink at all. It's a very good contract. And it all hinges on him being healthy, which we've seen.
No, Jason, I wrote about that at the time of the extension, saying that if he hits even like I think the threshold's even lower, to be honest with you, a 7 OPS, maybe a 715, 720.
I want it higher.
I know you want it higher, but if we're talking about the contract, I think that as good as he is defensively, and that it lined up with the WAR values and such, that if you can even just get that much out of him, and that would be a step forward this season. If you can get that much out of him with the glove work. He's a 3-4 flirting with a 5-win player. and you are not paying that much for him. I know 80 million is a big number for a lot of people, but if you're getting 3-4 wins a year from a guy, you're getting a huge bargain with the extension they gave him. And so to me, I think that's the cause for encouragement, is that my bar for him is I think significantly lower than, I don't think he has to be a huge bat in this lineup. I think he just has to be, competitive at bats, and getting on base a decent amount to be worth a lot to this franchise.
Yeah, and I don't understand the people that get mad about the contract. Like, I understand getting mad about how Key Bryant hit last season, like it was bad, or saying, he's injury prone or can't, like all of that stuff is completely fair game. But if you want to say that's a bad contract, I don't understand it. Like, he was a 4-WAR player in 2023. He was a 4.4 WAR player the year before that, Adam, using Baseball Reference. Like, if you go on the free agent market, and you know this, I'm just speaking to our audience, you can basically assume one win above replacement via free agency is like $8 to $10 million.
It's even more probably by now, Jason.
Right.
11 to 12.
I know. So if you see a 4-WAR player, multiply that by 8, and again, we're very conservative, that guy should theoretically be making around $32 million a year. If Key Bryant Hayes is making 8, that's very good. That's okay. Again, I want him to stay healthy. He's been hurt too much. I worry about his back. He didn't hit very well last year. All of that stuff is true. But, don't tell me the contract's crap. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I think that's part of how the Pirates and Bob Nutting have broken people's brains a little bit, because you don't see them pony up this money pretty much ever. So when they do, it seems like a big number. But in baseball terms, if we're talking about the free agent market, Brian Hayes' extension is relatively a pittance. And that's why I'm still optimistic that you're going to get value out of that deal. If you can just get him back to a decent place. He doesn't have to be an all-star caliber hitter. He's just got to be productive and decent and above replacement level with the glove to get there. Jason, thanks so much this week. Great conversation on all 3 of our pro teams. We'll be back next week. Is there anything you wanted to tease on your Saturday show?
No, I'm still working through some things. I got a couple guests that if we can, get a few responses, that would be great. But I have a possible hockey one, a possible baseball one, a possible media one, waiting for people to get back to me. So I can't quite tease anything yet.
Well, make sure you're subscribed to both channels, Post-Gazette Sports and PG Pirates on YouTube. We always appreciate your support there. Please like the video if you enjoyed it. Help us out in the YouTube algorithm. And otherwise, we will talk to you again next week.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.